I mean, there's nothing like being completely uncomfortable and having to change to formulate and create growth.
Hey, my feel good friends. Today's guest, Emi, is a fellow business coach, podcast host, and just master of doing all the things. She has years of experience as an entrepreneur and experience running multiple businesses, which makes her an expert at getting all of your ducks aligned when it comes to your business, as well as selling and scaling, which is exactly what we dive into today. And it couldn't come at a better time for me, honestly. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that I've now set a 6-figure income goal for Feel Good Social this year. It's kind of scary, but hey, 2020 was our foundation building year and 2021 is going to be our year to scale. So if you're feeling the same way about your brand, my friend, I cannot wait to share this interview with you. Emi helps us do all of those things and understand what it means to scale. But before we dive into the interview, I just want to remind you, our podcast merch is now live. I am so excited about this, my friends. We've got t-shirts, we've got stickers, we've got bags, we've got coffee cups, we've got all the things with a bunch of awesome feel-good designs to help us spread our feel-good message. I have designed a few of the things myself. I geek out about them. And we've also collaborated with 2 other awesome artists to just create our Feel Good Social podcast merch. And my friend, I would love for you to be a part of our community. I would love for you to check out our merch at feelgoodsocial.com/merch. Yep, just that easy. And I want to remind you that all of the profit from the merchandise for the Feel Good Social podcast will be donated to a different charity every quarter. The very first charity we're going to donate to is called Action Against Hunger. And it is a global humanitarian organization that takes decisive action against the causes and effects of hunger. They're saving the lives of malnourished children around the world, and they are doing everything they can to ensure that everyone has access to clean water, food, training, and healthcare. They're a truly rad organization and especially needed during this pandemic time. And so I would love for you to check out the Feel Good Social podcast merch. When you buy, you're making a difference and your proceeds will be donated to Action Against Hunger. Super cool organization. So don't forget, check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/merch. That's where you'll find all the cool Feel Good Social goods, and you can do good while you spread the love. Right? Is that our tagline? I need to come up with a cooler tagline. All right, my friends, let's dive into this interview with Emi. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Does social media stress you out? If you answered with a little laugh and a yup, you are not alone, my friend. I know how confusing and time-consuming and just plain overwhelming marketing your business on social media can be. So I've created a 5-step action plan that guides you through the best steps you can take to see success on social media without the overwhelm. With our free roadmap to stress-free social media, you'll learn how to quickly and easily create strategic content and prioritize what matters, so you'll know you're doing it right without wasting your time. If you'd like to download this free guide, head to feelgoodsocial.com/stress-free-social. Simply head to feelgoodsocial.com/stress-free-social and you will be on your way to social media success without the stress. All right, let's get into the episode. Hi, Emi. Thank you so much for joining us, lady.
Hey, I am so super excited to be here today. Thank you for having me on.
Yes. Well, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I would love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
Absolutely. So I help creative entrepreneurs who feel like they are stuck on the hamster wheel, juggling and wearing all of the hats, rip those hats off and step into becoming the visionary CEO and running a multi six-figure business and fulfilling the dream of impacting the people and helping, the people that they want to serve, all without overwhelm and frustration and really focusing on sales and profits.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you kind of focus on that, taking away the overwhelm from entrepreneurship as much as possible. That's what I focus with social media as well, because I think that that can be what stops a lot of people from moving forward and continue to move forward. I'd love to know, how did you get started in all this? I love to know kind of the origin story of
fell,
entrepreneurship.
yeah, fell into.
Yeah.
My background is super varied. So I've done everything from catering to event planning to marketing communications, project management for a boutique marketing agency where I worked in aftermarket motorcycle products, which was so cool and so like out of my scope when I started doing that.
Yeah.
I've done financial services, like I've done all these different things. And this was about 10 years ago now. I was looking for like, what's my next thing? Like, I wanted to start my venture. I had worked for other caterers and had my own catering business, personal chef, etc., and wanted to get back to having my own thing, my own gig again. I was newly divorced, to little boys at the time who are now practically grown up, and wanted to keep my schedule super flexible. So I became a health coach, which was awesome. And I totally believe in, healthy eating and cooking and all of those wonderful things. But what I found quickly was that it wasn't the best way for me to serve people. And a couple of years in, I woke up and I was like, if I have to write another blog about the 5 things that I should eat right now. And it was when like doing the detox was the biggest thing. And I worked more with emotional eating and why, you were standing there at 10 o'clock at night eating the entire quart of ice cream, not just the plant, but the whole thing.
Mhm.
And like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not me. And it took me really surveying like who was I serving at that point and how was I really helping them? That it was like, oh, you're not even really health coaching. Like, you're doing stress management
Yeah.
for entrepreneurs. And that stress management was all around solving their sales and their sales and scales really challenges. They didn't have enough sales coming in. They weren't scaling their businesses. They weren't hiring people, et cetera, et cetera. So it took me a little time to kind of like refocus my my thoughts on this is like the natural way for me to serve people, and create, how do I stand out in a sea of business coaches and a sea of other people who, are all great and doing their thing. But that's really been the best way for me to serve my people, for me to grow my business, do the things that I want to do. And I love it. I love watching my people go from frustrated and feeling sometimes like a failure because in their head, they thought that they would be so much farther ahead than they are right now, and help
Mhm.
them like leap into that success and, and really be able to help people.
Yeah. Oh, I love that for so many reasons. Firstly, like that's one of the reasons I love to ask people, how did you get started in this? What's your journey? Just because it's so interesting. And I feel like so many of us experience those little like miniature pivots or big pivots for you for some of your
Right?
story where it's like, oh, I was doing this, but it's actually really not what I'm calling it. Now I need to go over here and do this. And I also love what you said too about seeing your clients like transformations. Like that's honestly what lights me up when I coach people for their marketing and social media too, is like getting people excited and like seeing the results. That is
Yeah.
so amazing.
It was, I had such this like amazing experience because a client of mine who was through my 6-figure accelerator program texted me. I think it was last week, but the days kind of blur together now. And she's been out of the program for a little while. And she's like, I am closing 2020 despite all of the chaos and pivoting. And when she came into the program in June, like her business had tanked, and through no fault of her own, just COVID and everything else, and pivoting and readjusting. She's like, I'm closing 2020 realizing my dream business and my dream life. And like, that's pretty amazing. And came
Yeah.
in with really being not afraid, because that's not the right word, hesitant about the work that I was asking her to do, because she was so used to doing things a certain way and had to look at things newly. And when you can do that and then see the success come in, not just, for the next couple of weeks, but month over month over month, that she's clear about what she's building and how she's going to get there, and the clients are coming in and the profits coming in and growing. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I know. I have trouble sometimes talking about 2020 and like the COVID stuff. Like it's done so much harm. It's like been so hurtful to so many people in so many different ways, and businesses too. Some businesses really, really need to readjust their like way that they do business and whatnot. But also I kind of got that same feeling where it's like it's an opportunity to innovate. Maybe it's an opportunity to like assess the way you do things and shift things. So many people before the pandemic, like, could not even comprehend how they could take their business online. They didn't know what Zoom was, Zoom was
Yeah.
scary, all these things. And maybe for some people it still is, but at the same time, like, kind of being forced to take your business online, kind of being forced to change the way you do things is almost like a wonderful thing in itself, in a way, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like being completely uncomfortable and having to change to formulate and create growth.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's a great reminder of, like, this is the space that we all, not that we want to stay in discomfort all the time, but this is where we're going to get the best results.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure. And it's so uncomfortable, which is probably why people like are scared of growth almost, but it's necessary.
Yeah, and I think you get to a place, right, too, where there's like this I don't know factor. All right, well, I can't do X, Y, and Z anymore, and I don't know what the option is. I don't know what the right path is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And if you stay stuck in that, the answers aren't going to come. So it's learning to ask yourself better questions.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you follow Jasmine Star at
A
all.
little bit.
Yeah, I heard her say this once. I don't know if she got it from someone else, but she said, make reasons, not excuses,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, don't just say this could happen, this won't work for me because I've seen, like, I don't think it will. Say this, I know this won't work for me because I tried it and it doesn't work.
Right. Well, and I would even be like, have you done it twice or three times so that you really know that it doesn't work? Not just like, oh, I threw something out there and it didn't work, so I don't want to look at the why if it didn't work.
Yes, and I think that that's where, like, coaches come in so handy, honestly. Like, I've invested this year in a business coach and a mindset coach, and I'm a coach myself, and I feel like coaches are there to kind of push you to your edge in a way, but also, like, hold your hand along the way and cheer you on. But at the same time, there's been so many chances where I'm like, "Well, I tried it and it didn't work." And exactly what you just said, try it again. Try it and, like, tweak it just a little bit, you know?
I look at things as like pieces of a puzzle
Mm.
too, where you get the outer pieces set pretty quickly, but it's all that inside stuff. You've got to try different ways of putting different pieces together, trying to assimilate like the colors or similar, shapes, etc. And it doesn't happen on the first try. And if you just throw your hands up in the air and be like, "Oh, well, it's not going to work. This puzzle's broken," you're never going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yes. It's so funny. I'm laughing. I think so. I do this IG live series called Story Time every Monday. And yesterday I was chatting with this woman about paradox in business, like paradox as entrepreneurs and on social media and stuff. And I'm laughing because I kind of promote this, you want to be strategic when it comes to social media. You want to be intentional, purposeful with your content. You don't just want to be slapping willy-nilly things on Instagram because you're kind of wasting your time. But at the same time, I fully believe at throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks kind of thing.
Right.
Again and again, it's like this paradox
Yeah, it
almost.
is because it's like strategic speak. Start with
Yeah.
something and narrow. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I love it. Okay, lady. Most of my listeners are kind of those down to earth, bootstrapping, hardworking, kind of newish entrepreneurs, or if they're not new, they're still kind of figuring it out. And I'd love to know what are some of your favorite tips to give these kind of new people who are figuring it out, maybe thinking about scaling like soon, but still don't really know what to do.
Okay. God, there's so
I
many.
know.
I mean, it's like the name of the game is to scale.
Mhm.
Like nobody's starting a business to get to this tiny little level and then stop. And there's a place where there's a contrast of you've got to work and work and work and work and work, and you don't feel like you can delegate
Mhm.
or hire somebody or bring anybody on. And when you get to that point and you're starting to feel like there aren't any more hours in the day, but you don't have the funds necessary to really make the investment because you're trading time that you can be building your business on things, and that time's more valuable than the things that you could delegate, like social media,
Mhm.
right? And have somebody who's really good at it do those tasks and help with strategy, etc. And when you get to that place where you can start having team members on, it really it frees you up to be in more of the thinking CEO mode and not just the employee mode. And that's where most newbies get stuck is they stay in employee mode. They know how to do their job. They don't know how to think like a CEO and be the boss and look at what's going to drive results, what's going to be the biggest contribution they can make to serving their people. And how do I fill that gap?
Yeah, totally. And I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm actually kind of in the middle of my journey when it comes to team building. I just hired a podcast producer. Very, very excited about that. But I totally get what you mean. That's something I definitely dealt with because I think when the transition from being an employee and then going to your own boss and that CEO mindset is so difficult. And especially when you don't have any experience with that or training in that or anything. One of the mistakes I kind of made, and I don't like to necessarily call them mistake. I feel like I approach everything in my business as like a learning opportunity, you know. But
You're learning a lot.
a lot. There's been a lot of learning. But I hired almost too quickly. I think I was like, was hearing everyone saying, hire before you're ready, like all of those things. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do it. But I hired before I had really established myself into that CEO mindset. And also, I hired someone who hadn't ever really been a freelancer before and all those things. Like I didn't necessarily know who I was looking for or the duties to hire and all those things. Do you
Right.
have any tips when it comes to hiring, I guess, for someone looking to do that?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is that you want to surround yourself with people who aren't you
Mhm.
and who feel like you want to have a clear understanding of what your strengths and weaknesses are. Most entrepreneurs are more in the visionary, idea generating, innovative, and they're not super detailed. Now I know that's not everybody, but they've got the idea, they might want to start on implementing, and then they're moving on to the next thing.
Mhm.
So clearly when they're making first hires and they're looking at contractors, it's, what skills do they need to have that I don't have? What are the skills that I may have, but I don't, or tasks that I don't like doing?
Mhm.
Who can I fill in those gaps with? And then what characteristics of that person? Like with my clients, I have them create employee avatars. And similar to a client avatar, you're really creating that persona of that employee for each position.
Mhm.
And really looking also at, where do you want to be in 5 years? Who are the people that you need on your team in the next 5 to 10 years? And, who do you want to fill in first? And I think lastly, the biggest thing too is the first people that you hire are not going to stay. Like that's maybe you'll have 1 out of 20. Like I don't, but most of the time, the first people that you hire are going to move on to do something else. They're not the right fit because you don't know exactly what you need. And it's a lot of trial and error, and be okay with that. You are not doing your company, yourself, or them any favors by keeping them on or being upset about them leaving if it's not the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought that up. I'm glad that you kind of gave us that permission as well. Permission is kind of huge for new entrepreneurs, especially. And exactly like for those of you who are like me, who I kind of have that Midwestern quality of like not wanting to hurt people's feelings and stuff.
Sure.
And that was a big lesson for me in my first year of entrepreneurship was this is business. Like it's not really personal, you know what I mean? And like there's decisions that you have to make, like executive decisions, just for the good of your business and ultimately for the good of the other person's like life, I
Yeah.
think too.
Regardless of why they're leaving, you're holding them up from moving on to a better opportunity.
Yeah.
And that, like, they have a learning experience if you're letting them go to be had, and to, be in a place that's going to better serve them and what they're looking for, even if they don't know what they're looking for at this point. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, and yeah, it doesn't feel good, but it isn't going to generate positivity in your business either.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm kind of in my head relating this to selling in a way. Like, I think that there's all of these mindset limitations and shifts that we need to make as entrepreneurs when it comes to selling, hiring, making executive decisions for your business. But ultimately, like with all of these things, like the mindset flip of if you don't show up and sell your product, like you're not going to help people,
Mhm.
like it's helpful in a way. This is something I've been driving home through the holiday season too with my people. I'm like, everyone's stressed out right now. Everyone's just trying to find the gifts for the holidays that are perfect and they don't want to take the time to like find like you showing up and telling, "Hey, I have the perfect stocking stuffer for your grandpa right now" is helpful. It's not being like salesy or weird or anything. And I feel the same way with like hiring employees, creating a work environment that's positive for everyone involved, like the flip side of letting someone go is exactly what you said. You're opening up an opportunity for them and ultimately creating a more positive environment for yourself and your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And from a sales perspective too, like if people don't know about your stuff, you can't help them.
Mhm.
Like you're not serving anybody by not telling them about your stuff.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh man, I love this. Okay, let's talk about increasing our productivity and maybe de-stressing our work as entrepreneurs, because I know this is one of your favorite topics. What are your favorite tips to share when it comes to increasing productivity? Let's start there.
Yeah. So I like to look at performance over productivity,
Mhm.
uh, because performance for me, and somebody else could define it differently, but just so everybody's kind of aligning with what I'm talking about and what my meaning is, at least, performance is about really looking at the results and measuring how you did with any one thing. Productivity is about checking off tasks. Did I get as many things possibly done as I could have gotten done today without looking at the results necessarily? And um, that's the biggest differentiator also between an employee and somebody who's
Mhm.
truly running their business, is that you're measuring results and you're taking the actions that get results. So that could be making, 3 phone calls. That could be tracking, whatever it is you're doing, measuring the time, measuring people, measuring conversions. That could be actually launching your program or, um, you know, creating something. But things like making a little tweak on your website, which could be helpful but isn't necessary, or holding up your course because you don't have a landing page. Like those are things that are going to hold you up and keep you from being successful. I've launched programs with no marketing and been successful. I've seen other people make multi-six figures with no website. So it's really looking at where are you going to spend your time. And then I am a hardcore believer in getting everything in your calendar. Your calendar is your personal integrity system. And that is what's going to help you see, one, how much time you have available to do the 42 things that you want to do that really take 3 months that you're trying to do in an hour. And also honors you, right? Like, you want to be putting time in for you to do the things that are important, from self-care to, sleeping to working out to whatever are in those buckets for you. And you're less likely to overcommit and overschedule if you're making decisions with, these are my top 3 priorities for this day, this week, this month, this quarter. And I say no to everything else.
Yeah. Yes. I know. I feel like that's, again, something that so many of us struggle with is procrastinating with the little tasks, for sure. And I think that that just comes from fear, right? Like, so many, and I run into this myself, like tweaking the color of the font on my website for like 30 minutes, and it's like, okay. But honestly, like, I have an online course, and the last time I launched the course, I got most of my signups through just direct messages. I spent 3 hours creating my sales page or whatever. And, but like, ultimately, that just like human to human, high touch connection like that is what sold it, And so, exactly what you said, it's like, I think that maybe a lot of us just have this fear of not being professional enough, or not, like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Right. And I'm not saying don't do a landing page or don't create a website. It's having the awareness of where you're spending your time and looking at that on at least a weekly basis,
Yeah.
right? Like, at some point, it's good enough. Allow it to be done and then go back and, adjust it for the next iteration of it. Because particularly with something like a course, like, you're going to launch that more than once. It's going to be open more than once. You'll have different levels.
Mhm.
The program I have now is still content-wise the same program that I had 2 or 3 years ago, but it's structured completely differently. And I couldn't have gotten to what I have now, where it gets even better results,
Mhm.
without having the first go round a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yes, this was my first year of launching my course, and I'm just so excited. I'm so glad that I just started, that I did it, because exactly the first round of the course, it was super, super valuable. People got results, but at the same time, every time I launched the course, I improved it a little more, improved it a little more. And now, going into 2021, I'm excited to launch it again, because I feel like it's finally turning into what I envisioned like a year ago.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thanks. I don't know. I get excited. I'm also, it's one of those things where I think 2020 was very, I mean, stressful for so many reasons for a lot of us. But, and I knew that going into it. And so I think I'm glad that I put in the effort. There's some times where you have to lay the foundation, and you have to like just start and do and trust the process until you can scale. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, you've got to play with it. I think, particularly because there's so many people creating courses now and getting and starting online businesses, and you only see the success or the supposed success. Then people don't talk about the 3 failures they had before, or the launch that had crickets. When that happens to them, or it doesn't go the way that they want, then they throw their hands up in the air and like, this doesn't work, and I need to go find a day job, and blah blah blah. And you have to be willing to test.
Hmm. Yes. And that's where bike coaches have come in so handy this year.
Yeah.
Just again, I think that, I don't know, do you run into this? Like, I think that me as a coach, being a coach to my clients, but then also me, investing in my own coaches, so much of coaching is just the mindset part of it. Do you run into that too?
Yes, and being an entrepreneur, your success is about your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You can have whatever skills or not. It's really about, are you what are you thinking about yourself? What are you thinking about your business? What questions are you asking yourself? Because if you're in that pattern of, why is this happening to me? Why isn't this working? You're not going to get the answers, as opposed to asking things like, how can I do this differently? Where's the gap that I can close? How can I improve this? Right? Those are completely different answers than, why isn't this working?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I know. I geek out about this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. I would love to chat with you maybe about kind of some of the struggles you've personally experienced in entrepreneurship and
All of them.
yeah. What's like one of the major ones that kind of sticks out in your mind?
I think that the biggest one that I had, and one of the things that helped me up as a health coach too, because I thought, I did 2 years of coaching, like health coaching school, getting my certificate, being knowledgeable, learning how to coach, etc. And I thought I was going to hang up my certificate and my shingle and my little mini website, and people were going to flood my gates. And I had talked to my other health coach friends, and we all had that expectation. Like, what are we going to do with the waiting list? How will we handle that?
Yeah.
Right? And, our cute little newbie selves. And nothing happened. Is like, there was crickets. And I wasn't really clear about my message originally. And I really hadn't had to sell with my catering or my personal chef building. Like, things happened organically. I got a lot of referrals. It was a different sales game. And I don't know, I just didn't think about it differently. Like, it just worked than the coaching, and particularly for something as intangible as emotional eating with health coaching. Like, even with like, I can't guarantee you're going to lose X amount of weight if that was what they were hiring me for, because everybody's different. I can't guarantee that you're doing stuff we talk about. Right. So I had no idea, what I was doing. And two, the idea of, selling, and I'm air quoting selling, I thought, was used car salesman and slimy and pushy and blah, blah, blah. And again, I was still waiting, like, shiny, hello, shiny, waiting for people to come in. And I spent a good, 3 to 6 months doing everything to avoid sales that I could possibly, in the name of generating clients. I finally, looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, all right, like, you either need to get clients or go find something else to do. And really started addressing my fear of that, and understanding that I'm serving people, and they're scared too, because they're about to make major change. And that's true for anything. That's not just health coaching. Like, that's business coaching, that's buying a car, that's, buying the whatever, the Christmas or holiday gift for their niece or nephew. There's still a, I'm going to say, an unrest, not really a fear, but is this the right thing? And that's giving you the list with the exact details, which my family likes to do. But then you're golden. Although maybe they had the priority, and that's not the priority. That was the leftover. But right, there's still a thing of creating change, and particularly in service industries. So really shifting that mindset and being like, hey, if I'm not helping my people, like, then why am I here? If I can't help other people, in that case, get healthier, or in this case, as my business has shifted, and help them make more money and really realize their dreams, then, I'm not serving them. I'm not living my dream.
Yes, that has been, I think that that's just like, again, something, it's so funny how all of us go through all of the same mindset hurdles that we have. And, I don't really think that there's a going through it. I think that it's kind of a continual process, kind of that flexing of the muscle back and forth, like learning how to deal with it in like a healthier way again and again and again.
And I love being on sales calls now, because even if that person's not the right fit for me, then, or they're not ready to make the investment, then I'm still helping them solidify that this is the right thing, not the right thing. They, are having a challenge here, and at least that's been solved. Like, there's some value in there.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I know like everything is a learning experience. Everything can be helpful to at someone in some way. And also, I like what you kind of said whenever you were telling your story about struggling with sales, kind of the idea of being like empathetic as an entrepreneur, especially to like potential clients on sales calls and your current clients and whatnot, like understanding like you might be scared to sell right now, but they might be scared to buy right now too, and
Yeah.
speaking to that can just be so helpful. And then also kind of this came up sometimes as a coach myself, I struggle to like walk that fine line between feeling like I need to give my clients a kick in the butt or just tell them like a pat on the back, like you're okay. It's going to be, give yourself a break. Do you ever struggle with that? Like pushing people to that edge or just like telling them to go gentle on themselves?
Yes and no. I don't feel like it's a struggle. Like I have enough experience at this point where I just intuitively know
Mm-hmm.
that there's times when it's like they just need to give themselves permission to be whatever they're experiencing. There's also times when we're hearing the same story or the same complaint, or I know that they can, they're capable of more, that they get full on direct, get your ass in gear. I ask the hard questions. And if I'm not serving them. Like that's, it can be like, I think people can hesitate sometimes because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or is it the right time, etc. And if I'm not asking those hard questions and I'm not having those moments with them where they're kind of, really getting that mirror. And more than once, a client's been like, I don't like you right now. And it's not me. It's not about me. It's that they don't like that they have to face the thing that they're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't be who they need to be without.
Yeah, I have said that to my mindset coach so many times this year. I'm like, I think that the most helpful things you say to me frustrate me the most. You know what I mean? But I understand like it's true and I think I exactly what you said. Like I'm so glad that you kind of said that to me as kind of a newish coach for sure. I'm definitely getting better at like reading people. And I think it has to do with the individuals as well too, which is probably why like a discovery call, figuring out if like you're choosing the right coach or choosing the right client too. I think chemistry between coach and client is really important.
Super important. And I'm there with them. Like I know what's going on in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives me the advantage of, all right, like you just went through a shitstorm and we're going to clean it up and it's going to get better, but just take 2 seconds and breathe.
Yes. Yeah. I've been kind of geeking out on Elizabeth Gilbert this year. Father Meet Prayla. Like I did not really follow her at all until this year. And now I like can't get enough of her. There's something about her voice. Like I love listening to podcast interviews with her because her voice is like calming to me. But also I think she's talked a lot about kind of like the mother energy and the father energy, right? Like a lot of times when you're dealing with a stressful situation, the first thing you need to do is just calm down and breathe and be like that mother energy to yourself or to your client. If you want to apply to that, be like, it's okay. I'm here for you. We're going to get through this. It's going to be fine. And then after that comes the fatherly energy is what she calls it, where it's like, okay, and what are we going to do about it?
Right. Right. And I work mostly with women entrepreneurs. I don't think women give themselves enough credit for the things they're working on or the things that they're juggling. That reflection back too in that motherly energy is really important because if you're not looking at everything, then it's harder to like stay out of that space of discomfort or whatever it is that just experience because there's always a pattern to something.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man. Okay. So this is a social media marketing podcast. So I need to ask you. I'm like laughing. I know I always get into it. Like this is a social media marketing podcast, but like it's kind of, bigger picture too.
Right.
But I would love to just ask you kind of where you've seen the most success on social media or if you have any like tips or tricks that you really love sharing.
Facebook's my friend. Like I get it. I understand it. It's easy. So for me personally, I like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I have a presence on Instagram. I think that's how we connected. My son, who does a lot of my social media engagement, is the one that manages that. Thank God.
I was going to say that'd be nice.
And he's available, for
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Send him my way.
for managing that type of stuff. But I really think it's just about connecting. Like, I think the biggest thing, whether you choose any platform, is actually connecting with your followers.
Mm-hmm.
Like having something more than I just liked you or I clicked on a thing. Like, send them a message.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be every 2 seconds, but hey, how are you?
Yeah, it is amazing. I love that you just said that because that's actually exactly what I kind of teach when it comes to social media marketing and my course and all those things is genuine engagement. Like take the extra, like I would so much rather people leave a genuine, engaged, like specific comment to a person that like just brightens their day and like drives that deeper human connection with them versus just liking 100 photos. Like I say that to my people all the time. I'm like, don't just scroll, be intentional and be genuine too, like from the heart. People can feel that, they remember it too, and
Yeah.
and that truly is how you build a community of people who not only like enjoy you but want to support you, feel compelled to buy from you.
Yeah. And I think particularly now where we're so disconnected because we're not able to gather the same way. Like, people are seeking connection and some humanness, and they are aware of, even if they don't know how to utilize it, but they're aware that there's an algorithm.
Mhm.
Those of us who are on social media for more than just posting a couple of pictures randomly. And, that's that. I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. Well, that's one of the things that I absolutely love, honestly. So I kind of always
Good
hesitate.
too.
Oh, no. You're good. Well, I always kind of hesitate to share this. But I'm not really a huge fan of social media, even though I'm like teach social media marketing and whatnot. Like that was kind of a struggle
Yeah,
for me in the
yeah,
beginning of my business was okay, how can we use this platform in a way that actually like feels good in my soul that I feel
yeah,
like I'm not like losing my sanity and my soul to the platform. But that's what I love about kind of genuine engagement and kind of the shifts Instagram. I think
yes,
most
that was my point.
yeah,
Like,
most
disconnect
social
with, like, you're better off connecting with 5 people a week than trying to like the 100 photos every day. And you're
the
gonna
algorithm boosts it that way too. Yes,
yeah, and
exactly.
you're gonna see better results from a conversion standpoint, right? Like, for me, it's about the conversion. Like, you can have a gajillion followers, but if none of them have any meaning and they're not engaging with you, for me, it doesn't measure anything other than people are following me. So, as you're growing, are you having conversations? Are you converting them into clients and or at least people in your network that you're doing business with, even if it's collaboration or referral or something else?
Yes. Yeah, that is still one of the biggest mindset shifts that I run into with like all of my clients. Let's be honest. Most people will come to me saying, okay, I want to get this many followers, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how big your following is if it's not actually converting. Like, wouldn't you
Right,
rather have X more sales versus X more followers?
right.
It's don't get me started on vanity metrics.
Yeah. And not that, like, my team and I aren't doing a little joy when we hit the follow number that, for the month. But again, if we're not interacting, it doesn't have meaning.
Yes, exactly. I love that, Emmy. Oh man. Okay. Can you please tell my people where they can connect with you, find out more about you, all the things, because I know they'll want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on Instagram at Emi.Kirschner. It's EMI.KIRSCHNER. And if you love Facebook as much as I do, or you just want to try it out,
Mhm.
um, I would invite everybody to join my Facebook group, The Tribe of Leaders. It's free, and I'm just going to get back into the swing now. I was on a sabbatical for all of November, but lives and then hosting other amazing experts so that you have all the tools that you need to grow your business and scale quickly, easily, and without overwhelm.
Yes. Okay. I love that. And we will link everything in the show notes below.
Yay.
Thank you so much for joining me, lady. I've so enjoyed chatting with you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for having me.
How awesome was Emi, you guys? Make sure you give her a follow. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you would share it to your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag both of us so we can see it and reshare it right back to you. And also, I would love it if you checked out our podcast merch. I've been getting a lot of great feedback. There are some really, really awesome designs by myself and two other seriously amazing artists. And it's really just supporting a great cause, spreading the feel good message, and making us feel like a feel good community. Okay. When you wear your feel good social merch loud and proud, you will be a part of a bunch of other rad entrepreneurs. So go ahead and check that out. feelgoodsocial.com/merch. Pretty easy. I would love for you to help us spread our feel good message and to do good in the world. I'll catch you next week, and I hope you have a good one. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.